This is a movie review with Andrew Worcester. Today's movie is called Chemical Hearts, which just premiered on Amazon Prime, starring Lili Reinhart and Austin Abrams, directed by Richard Tan. He wrote and directed it based on a novel of the same name. And my initial thoughts on seeing the trailer and seeing who was in it and the premise of the movie, I really thought it was just going to be a kind of a melodramatic teenage movie, which is enjoyable on some levels, but they are what they are, and then you can kind of discard them. And that was kind of a rushed judgment on my part, just because I have a problem with young adult fiction or John Green style novels for their overwroughtness or being emotional just for emotional sake and not having any really backbone of why things get that emotional so quickly or intensely. But this was a little different. It starts out as a character, the Austin Abrams character, being kind of an awkward senior in high school who never really quite fit in as much as he wants. He has a little niche of friends, but he's kind of a lonely kid who's not very socially adept at finding new friends or finding a girlfriend. And then in walks this new girl from a neighboring school who's now transferred for her senior year to this school. And she has a cane and she has a limp. You don't quite know her backstory, but she's played by Lili Reinhart, so she's very beautiful, even though they try to dress her down and not glam her up at all. She does have that glow about her because she's you can't really, as much lipstick as you take off a beautiful girl, they're still going to be beautiful. So that was certainly, you could see she was just a beautiful girl in a baggy sweatshirt kind of thing. She's put on the journalism staff, which she's worked very hard to become the editor of it. At first they're going to be co-editors, and then she doesn't really have any interest to be there, except she needs to have, looks like, an elective. So she kind of joins the staff, and that's how they start a friendship and start relating to each other. And the story itself is slowly revealed about why she's at the new school, why she has what's wrong with her leg, why she have the limp. And you see him kind of falling more and more for her. And you see her more and more allowing him to fall for her and kind of giving into that as well, as far as letting herself fall for him. At least that's what it seems. And my expectations were low going into this movie, but actual watching the movie and understanding the whole title of Chemical Hearts is the fact that, especially when we're teenagers, the idea of love and it really kind of affects our dopamine levels, and then when we have heartache, how it affects our stress hormones, and it's elevated exponentially when you're a teenager as all these things are starting to develop in you. So that's why you can feel things so strongly, and then good or bad, and how that's really that unstable emotions really can give you the experiences of your life and that you remember for years afterwards. And you kind of always, I think that's why a lot of people nowadays are still never kind of grow out of that feeling, because it's like a withdrawal for the rest of your life. Because you as you get older, you don't feel things as strongly. You can't feel it as much. And you want to kind of get back to that place where you did, for good or bad. It's just that having that feeling really drives you in a lot of negative directions and positive directions too, to kind of be who you are back then. So I really thought it was going to be an overly emotional kind of fake story of high school, when it actually turned out to be a much more enjoyable watch. It was really something that, again, it didn't play on your emotions. It didn't try to make you feel something that wasn't there. It showed kind of the outline of what her problem was and the slow development of that, of why she was quote unquote broken, and then little things with him about how he liked to fix broken things, or why he would be attracted to the broken things, and it was done slowly, but it was always interesting, and the couple twists and turns that it had, I really enjoyed, because it wasn't something that there's one main part that I didn't quite get fully. Like, you could kind of understand that was the case, but when you actually saw the full extent of what what it was. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's something I would definitely recommend watching this movie. I mean, if you don't want to relive high school at all, if you don't want to get in that world or understand these characters of being 16 or 17, then don't watch it. If you don't mind revisiting that, or kind of not identifying but trying to live back in the world of those situations that you go through, those feelings that you go through, I would definitely recommend watching it. It's it doesn't get cheesy, it doesn't get cliche, and it really has a message at the end. And it really has a good message at the end, where I think there's certain times in life where we meet people that we need to either help heal us or help grow us, and even if things don't go exactly according to your plan or how you hoped or how you drew up in your mind, the situation is never going to be the picture perfect romantic, fairy tale wedding at the end of the story. I think in real life generally, but that doesn't mean there's not a whole lot of value into someone and the experiences that you go through, and that's kind of a hard thing to ever remember in the moment, or even looking back at it. It takes years sometimes to people to get over things or appreciate what it gave you. And it's kind of an obvious line, but when there's asked, would you regret what happened, or would you replace anything that happened? It's asked to one of the characters, and the answer is no. And even then, it was no. As much as I don't want to spoil, I'm sorry. As much as the person is sad or is missing or feels used or taken advantage of, at the end of the day, it was a positive effect. And it hurt, but it meant something. And it was more, it was more than at the end he wants to believe, and it was less than in the middle of it he wanted to believe. So interpretations in reality are a really kind of interesting thing. But I've never really seen Riverdale, so I didn't really know much about Lili Reinhart. She did a really good job, really believable in the role. And Austin Abrams too. I didn't know these actors at all, but really good job. And I really had some weight and balance to it, even though they, on the surface, you don't think they fit together at all, but they acted like they fit together, and you saw why they fit together, and you saw why they needed each other, and you saw why they connected. And so it wasn't forced at all either. There's plenty of opportunity for it to be forced, and they didn't force it. And the tone of it I really liked, and the overall premise of the story and the heart of the story I really enjoyed as well. So it's called Chemical Hearts. Right now it's on Amazon Prime Video. I would recommend seeing it. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear different opinions as well. Appreciate you sticking around for a little over 8 minutes here. Once again, my name is Andrew Worcester. Till next time, take care.